So this is our interview with Danny Dunlap. I was very excited to get more information from him. I've been blown away by this band, as you'll probably hear me tell him. Not usually in my wheelhouse. Cannot get these songs out of my head. Cannot keep coming back to this album. Even their new single hits it out of the park. So take it away with our conversation. Very excited and honored to meet you.
Yeah,
Been
thanks for having me.
tooling around. And believe me, I'm a tough cookie when it comes to music. I usually like stuff really, really hard. I like Knock Loose. I like My Dying Bride. I like Inner Armor. But you guys have totally won me over.
Oh, great.
When he brings me stuff, when Marco brings me stuff, I'll be like, oh no, no, that's not hard enough for me. That I never comes into question with you guys.
That's cool. So you're not, I don't, forgive me, but I'm not familiar with any of those bands that you listed. Is it like metal bands or?
Yeah. Inner Armor is kind of where they're kind of more doomy, where they go heavy light, heavy light. My Dying
Yeah.
Bride, they're wild. They're like a lot of doom, but they also have violin. Da-da-da-da. And he goes back and forth between sounding like he's singing for Les Mis to like this.
Oh, okay.
It's really wild. That's usually me. That's
All
my
right.
speed. He's
Well,
the
that's
one
cool
who,
that we've somehow broken through your wall and
Well, part of that is because, like I said in the review, right in the early '90s, I went down this crazy power pop rabbit hole, and just
yeah.
I was all Matthew Sweet and Elvis Costello and Replacements and
Yep.
Chris Bell. I Am the Cosmos. That's when you're getting into the next level, right there.
Oh yeah, that record rules.
Oh yeah, it does. It's so shambolic, like it's gonna fall apart at any time. Like I don't know how he captured that. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just that song, "I Am the Cosmos." It's like, yeah, it's heartbreaking. You can kind of tell his kind of how fragile he was, like his mental state. And I mean, I'm presuming I didn't know him, obviously.
Well, I'm able to go back into it once in a while because like I think I want to say it was about 8 years ago, they reissued like a 5 disc copy of Big Star Sister Lovers. It had there's a ton of out there's like there's tons of alternate versions and unreleased songs on those sessions. Apparently, Alex Chilton just just holed himself up in the studio for like weeks and just recorded everything for that album.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I read the Chris Bell book a couple of years ago. I think it was called like There Was a Light, I think it's the name of it. But yeah, it's really good. And not to get too just jump straight into like talking about stuff, but the Surface Noise, there's a song called Troubled Troubadour, and it's kind of partly about Chris Bell.
Oh,
That
that's
song
awesome.
yeah, it's a song that's kind of about a bunch of different people, or like a handful of different people. Um, Mostly it's about Sid Barrett and Chris Bell. Bill Fox from the Mice is in there. Adrian Borland from the Sound is in there, and there's like references to people. And I don't normally talk about like what songs are about so much, but like that one is like it's so like not really personal because it's kind of about almost like heroes of mine and about just people who like maybe didn't get their due like when they were alive, or that maybe didn't sort of their potential because of addiction, mental illness, things like that. But yeah, that song is partly about Chris Bell. There's a line towards the end that says, what are the lyrics? I have to sing it to remember them. But there's a line at the end, because in the book, I don't know if you knew this about Chris Bell, but there was a lot of speculation that he was homosexual, that he was like in the closet.
Yeah, I did know that, right?
I think, the line says something like, "Not by your own admission, you kept a closet full of secrets," or something like that. So it's kind of a reference to like.
Well, I don't know whether it's just limited to this genre, but I always figured you can't call your band Big Star or you're dooming yourself. I mean, as soon as you did that, it was all over. And there's another band too. I can't remember what her name is, but she was married to like Miles Copeland, this woman, and she called her band like the Overnight Sensations or something. Of course, went absolutely nowhere.
Not as cool as Big Star.
Right, but you're totally you're damning yourself if you call
Yeah.
yourself.
We're called from rags to riches. Ah, cha cha cha.
Number one with a bullet. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I love your name, by the way. Was it like an oxymoron on purpose?
You know where I got that from was there was in the Austin Chronicle. We're from Austin, Texas, and in our kind of like entertainment rag that comes out every week that has all the shows and articles about things and political stuff and one of those things. And there was a review of the Wes Anderson movie called The Fantastic Mr. Fox. And in the review, the person who wrote it, her name is Kim something. I used to know her, but I can't remember her last name at the moment. It's escaping me, but she was a real sweet lady. And she wrote this review. And in the review, there was a line that said something like, Wes Anderson's cast his normal array of gentlemen rogues or something like that.
Oh,
and I
okay.
just read it and I was like, oh, I kind of like that because I'm a really big fan of the Stone Roses, and
Manchester.
it kind of had that same what you were saying, kind of like a one sort of the opposite of the other, and
right, two words
like,
that
that's
you
kind of a
wouldn't
good
think
band.
yeah, you wouldn't think they'd go together, but they do.
It kind of works, and it was the when we were starting the band, and coming up with a really terrible band name is really easy, and coming up with a good one is pretty hard.
Yeah.
And it was the first one that the four of us were like, that's not bad. We're like, we got four not bads. That's our band name.
The best names are from those old Nuggets compilations, like Strawberry Alarm Clock and Chocolate Watch Band. You just wonder, it just must have been acid tripping until they came up with the most outrageous thing,
The very first band I was in when I was in high school, I was just the singer, and we were called the Nocturnal Pigeon Boys.
Oh my, that's a mouthful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. Anyway, I think that came up from going like probably like write a word down and put it in a hat and everyone pulls it out. Right. And, I got this one, or everyone think of a word and then we'll mix them all together.
So previously you worked with Josh in another band, the Fall Collection. So how did you kind of come around to being the drummer for you guys again?
How did Josh end up drumming with us again? Yeah, when we started the band, so Josh and I did the Fall Collection for probably about 5 years. And when we broke up, I was having, not to get too personal or whatever, but I was having a bunch of health problems at the time. And I just kind of got where I was like, didn't like living. I was like, I didn't really want to like be in a anymore. I was just kind of trying to figure out like what was going on with my body. It turns out I ended up having like arthritis. I developed arthritis when I was like 35. Jeez. It wrecked my whole body, and I thought I was kind of falling apart, and I was in pain all the time. And the last thing I wanted to do was like be in a band. I mean, like picking up like my guitar case was like painful to do. Yeah. And so it was, and I kind of felt like that band had sort of not run its course, but we were just kind of felt like we weren't really getting anywhere, and we were trying, and it just kind of felt like, I don't know, I think mostly like this feeling of we're not really getting anywhere, and then like being in all this pain all the time. It was like, what are we doing? What am I doing? And then we just kind of, I don't know, I just sort of like didn't want to do that anymore. And then I figured out what was wrong with me and I started treating it, and then I got better. And then like maybe a year or two after the Fall Collection broke up, I started Gentlemen Rogues. And I'd met this guy named Matty, who I would go into this coffee shop every morning before work, and turns out he was a drummer. And we found we kind of liked some of the same bands. And so we ended up just kind of getting together and playing just as a two-piece. And then my friend Corden played guitar, and I was like, you want to come start playing with me and this guy Matt? And just kind of formed really organically. And then Maddie brought in this guy named Cole to play bass. And Cole was like a guitar player, but he played bass with us because he just wanted to be in a band. And and then we did that for a while. And then I guess Cole decided he didn't really like being a bass player, and he wanted to go back to really focusing on guitar. And Maddie wanted to kind of get into starting like his own business, and his sort of attention went somewhere else. And I hit up Josh and was just like, hey, we need a drummer. And, do you want to come goof around with us? And he did, and we knew it would work, and it did, and he's been with us ever since. So we've been a band for quite a while, and Josh has been in the band way longer than he hasn't been. So I, in a weird way, no discredit to Maddie, because he was a great drummer, but it almost feels like Josh has always been the drummer, even though he wasn't for like the first 2 years we existed.
Yeah, it just seems like you guys have a great chemistry. Like, who brings kind of what personality or role when they come to the band?
How do you mean exactly?
Like, is there a person who does social media? Is there a person who does logistics? Is there a person who's the goofball, who's always cracking everybody up? Is it somebody who's the idea man?
Yeah, I'm a lot of those.
Okay.
I do. I write all of our songs, and I kind of we write the songs together, but like I'll bring in kind of the core idea. I'll work on stuff at home, and once I've come up with something that I don't or that I think, you know, has potential to turn into something good, I'll try to get it to a place where we can start working on it, kind of banging around on it in our practice room. And I don't like write everybody's parts and stuff like that, but I'll just kind of bring in the core song, and then we kind of sort of hash it out together. And yeah, I think that, so like I bring in the songs. Josh, our drummer, who we're just talking about, he and I do all of our artwork and stuff. So like the Surface Noise cover behind you on the wall, that was that's 90% a real computer glitch from when Josh was working on the artwork for our last record. He his screen just like shit the bed, and it made that image, and he had the foresight to go, that looks cool, and he took a screenshot of it.
Okay.
And then and was just like, hey, we should use this for something sometime. It looks really cool. And you see how it kind of naturally made those panels.
Yeah.
Like there's all these squares. That's all the way it really looked. And there's maybe 2 of those that we had to doctor, because you could see the kind of the artwork from the last record sort of bleeding through. You could kind of recognize in 2 of those little squares. So we had to like doctor 1 or 2 of them. And then we're like, yeah, there's artwork for the new record. So it works out. It was kind of cool how it happened. But yeah, he and I do all the artwork and stuff. He runs our website. Josh does. He and his wife do a design business together, and I went to school for graphic design, so we always kind of like to have a hand in our artwork and stuff.
I tried to find a shirt that best matched your album cover.
I was thinking that's a cool dress or shirt.
I was like, what do I
was like, we're gonna have to use that for our next album, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your stuff is so different from, like, you know, the red tile wall of Mocking Love Out of Nothing at All to the owl. So do you just kind of take it by whatever feel that album has, or whatever you come across, or just artist inspired?
I don't know if we ever really think about this. Is probably, I don't know if this is good or bad. If it works, then so far we've gotten lucky, but I don't know if we've ever really thought about like how the music connects to the artwork so much. I think like the owl on the cover of our first like 4-song EP, this is a funny story. I saw that picture. I was like Yahoo News going to check my email account that I've had since I was 17, and there was this article that was like National Geographic amateur photographers, like best amateur photographers for National Geographic, something like that. And there was this one picture, I was looking at them, and this one picture of that owl, and I was like, oh, that picture is so cool. And it said like photo by Mitch, I can't think of his name. So I just went on to like Facebook, and I just searched his name, and I found his page. Okay. And I took a screenshot of the picture, and I said, hey, can we use this for our record cover? And he goes, yeah, sure. Just send me a copy of the record whenever it comes out. And I was like, all right. And so that was that. And I think I maybe sent him like maybe like $100 or something. It was like, I didn't feel totally right about just being like using it for free, but we also, you know, we didn't have any money, and I don't know, we're just kind of like, I just found it on a news article, but that was the thought that went into it. It was like, that's a really cool photo.
That's the good side of the internet, or the good side of social media, I guess. That you can find things like that easily. Yeah.
Mitchell Kranz That's
Yeah.
his name.
The bad side is that every job when I was a teenager in my 20s where I walked out and said, fuck you, I quit. They
Yeah.
all found me as soon as Facebook was invented. And they were like, Marchman. Like they had completely gotten over it. And I was like, I didn't know you were gonna find me
Yeah,
again.
I resisted all that stuff for so long. Social media is like it's such a double-edged sword, and
Yeah, it is.
some days I'm like, why am I even on this? I hate this so much. And then and honestly, if I didn't do the band, I probably wouldn't be on it. I don't know, because I'm like, it's sort of like a necessity to be on it for us. But
Yeah.
my personal pages are basically just like a secondary Gentleman Rogues page, because
Right.
I just don't like to post personal stuff and my political opinions, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I just stay out of
I hate that more
stuff.
than ever. Ugh.
Yeah, no, it's yeah.
Somebody just or they're just dumb, like on the neighborhood app. I see the most horrible things on there, and I'm like, are people really this dumb?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a slippery slope, and I have opinions of things. I just don't put them on social
Yeah.
media.
Well, I try to use it, especially in Facebook. I try to use it. I make a lot of comments on posts, and I find that people will stay outraged for 24 hours. And usually, I'll pick up like 10 followers if I really piss people off the right way. Like for example, there was one the other day where it was about bullying, and it
Mhm.
was about there was these two kids, and one of them was obviously like downtrodden, being bullied, and it was about not to bully. And I said something like, "Well, that shirt and those pants, he does deserve it a little bit, you know." And it was just enough
Yeah.
to get, I don't know, a couple pages of outrage, and I picked up like 10 followers from that. So I mean, I think you have to be able to pull the levers a certain way
Well, and I
and not
think
give a
too,
shit too,
yeah, it's
Yeah.
obvious though that you're kidding, and it's like,
Well, not to everybody. I mean, there's some
right.
kooks on there that take
Yeah.
everything seriously.
I know that there's always that too. I mean, it's like with
Right.
Austin right now, it's Austin's kind of like the stand-up comedy capital of the world right now. It's like
Mhm.
all those Tom Segura and Joe Rogan and all those guys have
Right. Oh,
moved here.
yeah.
So there's like,
Right.
you
You didn't
know,
ask for them. Now you're stuck with them. Yeah, I
yeah, and
know.
there's this large hub of, comedy, which I love stand-up comedy, but that's like that's a huge thing, and all that is like,
Right.
where's the line, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's pretty far. It depends on, depending on who you are, you can say a lot of crazy stuff and find it funny, and other people get very easily offended. So
I know he's the
it's all
king of
subjective.
I know he's the king of podcasting, but does anybody really like Joe Rogan's comedy? I mean, really, come on. I mean, is
Yeah.
anybody going, yeah, he's hilarious? No, they're not.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes. Not that it keeps me awake at night, but like, I definitely have thought about that, where he's definitely seems to be more famous for his podcast than his stand-up. But what's interesting is people kind of consider him to be one of the most famous stand-up comedians in the world. But you're like, but is it really for his comedy, or is it because
It's mainly because he comes up with good interview questions, really, so
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah, we're gonna get out to Austin one of these days. We've never been there. I would really like to be there. So I'd
where are
like to
y'all
check it
based out of?
We're out of Baltimore, and I mean,
Baltimore, that's right.
I've been all over Texas. I've been in Houston. I've been to Dallas a bunch of times, but I never made it to Austin. I really want to go there. It's
I
really
didn't like Houston when we went.
no one does.
It's really humid. It's really humid.
Well, we were right by the airport. We were right by what's it,
Hobby.
Hobby Airport. Yeah, because for my job, I had to be in that part of town, and I warned her. I said, this place isn't gonna win any beauty contest. I'm telling you.
There's good stuff about Houston, but Houston is so big that you have to really kind of know where to go, and like,
yeah,
there's a lot of good. I would never want to live there, but I like going to visit for like a weekend. I have some friends that live there.
Right.
It's good for a couple of days, and then you want to get the hell out of there.
I like that you did a Stones cover, Connection.
Oh, and they're split.
Yeah, on the new split. Like what how'd you choose that one, and like which ones did you think about that maybe didn't make it?
We didn't think about it. Actually, you know what? Okay, there's a story here. Sorry, I was gonna breeze over that because I was like, I don't know, we just like the song. But actually, but actually we do like the song. It's probably one of my favorite Rolling Stone songs. But we a few years ago got invited to do a hoot night, a Rolling Stones hoot night at the Continental Club here in Austin, and it's I think it was probably like 12 or 15 bands doing like 2 or 3 Rolling Stones songs each, and we when we could pick whichever ones we wanted basically. And so I was like, oh, I love Connection. We should do that one. And then John picked Sleep With Me, Live With Me. What's the name of that song? God damn it. Yeah, I think it's called Live With Me. Sorry. And what else did we do? I'm Waiting.
Okay, yeah.
And I Am Waiting. We did those three. But when we learned them, we did Live With Me like pretty accurate to how it went. Like we did a pretty like accurate version of it. But when we did Connection, because of just, I don't know, something about it, we were like, well, let's just kind of make it more punky and like just play it a little faster and kind of like rock it a little more. And
Make it yours, yeah.
yeah, just we were like, we'll make this one more just sort of drivey. And so when we did it, we were like, it's pretty cool, like kind of sounds kind of cool like that. And we just did it like that at the show. And then I think a few months later, when we were going to record the single and the whole thing about with the Drolls, it was like, well, they're going to do a cover, we'll do a cover. And then we're like, what cover are we going to do? It's just like, oh wait, what about that punky version of Connection we did? And then we leaned into it a little bit more. And not to like be too inside baseball with it, but we tried to make the beginning and the ending, we did them like a Misfit song. So like the way it starts with that bum 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 is it's Attitude by Misfits.
Okay, great.
And the way it ends is like the way Astro Zombies ends. So we were like,
excellent.
Now that you know that, you'll hear it. But when we
when
we wrote it, we were like, let's kind of make it kind of like a Misfit song or something. And so
I was so happy because like one of my I'm stickler for, if you're gonna do a cover, make it yours. I don't want to hear the same song again. And I like how you kept like the vocal inflections and stuff the same, but totally sped it up and changed everything else.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts of the song are the harmonies and stuff. And I was like, hey, we got to keep those harmonies. Those are kind of like almost the best part of the song.
Yeah, I was making fun of a friend of mine, because he went and saw the Stones on this tour. And of course, it's extraordinarily expensive and whatever else.
Yeah.
And he said, when would you have seen them? And I said, it's 1977. I'm going to say maybe Hammersmith Odeon, maybe 6,000 people. I would say, because then they would play mostly Exile and Sticky Finger stuff, but they'd still have Miss You and the newer stuff.
Yeah.
And I get like Roxy Music to open. And he goes, dude, you are the ultimate music snob. I mean, listen to you. You sound like High Fidelity, the movie High Fidelity with John Hughes. And I'm like, sorry, dude, you asked the question.
I can slip into that mode too. I get pretty like dorky and about that kind of. I mean, music is just, it's like a lifelong obsession. I'm sure you're the same way, which is just like all you think about, all you talk about. It's like
speculation, like what? Yeah, like my brother will call me and we'll be like, we'll talk about like a band that's been together for 30 years, but the bass player's only been there for 10, but they're huge. Does he get a quarter of the money? And what songs did he write? And we're pulling the albums out, going, well, he wrote this and this and this. He should, it's ridiculous.
I'm asleep.
She's long asleep,
we did a whole skit about it, like for this show. It's like, he's going off, and
I'm pulling out the records, going, wait, the vinyl from the Netherlands has more liner notes. Hold on a minute,
The secret is in the Spanish pressing.
Exactly. They had all the answers.
That's funny. Speaking of exorbitant ticket prices and the Misfits, to bring it full circle, I just bought tickets to see the Misfits a couple of weeks ago, and they were not cheap.
No, I know.
It's one of my favorite bands since I was in like 7th, 8th grade. I love them. And I was like, I've never seen them. It's like 3 of the mostly original members. And I was like, I'm going to regret not going. They're coming to my city. I got to go. But yeah,
you're right there. He does want an exorbitant amount of money. I know in Europe they wanted them to headline some festivals, but rumors are that the amount they want is just ridiculous. Like they want more than like Metallica would charge or something.
Yeah, it's weird too, because they're playing at a really big play. I mean, they're basically playing a stadium, and it's like it's a 4-band bill, which is weird. It's like Agnostic Front and Reverend Horton Heat and Suicidal Tendencies and the Misfits playing like basically an arena. And I guess the stuff that I've seen in that giant venue, it's always been like an opening band and then like the main act. And this is like, it's gonna be weird to see a 4-band bill in like the giant place. I guess it's kind of like a festival, but in my mind, it seems kind of strange, but it's probably really not that weird.
But then again, if you,
Yeah.
at any huge festival, if you're wondering, was it worth paying him $1 million? As soon as he hits that chord, goes, I got something to say. Everybody goes nuts. I mean, then you're
Yeah.
like, yep, that money was worth it. You know.
Well, you know, and they you think about it too. Their songs are very short. They didn't have a ton of material. I mean, really made like 2, maybe 3 albums, and it's like they're gonna play like almost all of that. You
It's
know,
just it's so
if they're
hard to
gonna
believe
play for
when you read their Wikipedia and it says that they gave up marketing Static Age because of zero interest from any label. I'm
yeah,
like, oh my God, it's so hard to imagine.
I know. You know,
As
and that did
huge as those songs are now.
I know, and there's so many hits and like hits and that stuff, just classic songs. And that record didn't even officially get released until like 1997.
I know.
You're
I know,
like,
yeah.
what?
And when
Like,
you take the songs apart, it's sort of like taking apart the early Ramones songs. There's nothing there. They really are like 3 chords. Like
yeah,
they really could barely play.
it's
It's just
awesome.
his voice and the way they put the chords together. It's incredible. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Anyway, great band.
anyway,
But I also love the new one, Young Till We Die. That line resonated with me. We should argue more than we do.
yeah. And what's that line
I
about?
actually had my ex-husband used to say that, something like that to me, because he felt like I was running ahead and getting all the problems out of the way instead of letting us go through it and get stronger. So I wanted to know what your take was on it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what it's about, I suppose. It's like a kind of avoiding your problems and like it's I guess of not communicating, it's a lot of what that song is about, like poor communication. And maybe like if you just sort of hashed it out and screamed at each other, that like it would be better in the end, instead of kind of pushing it off and sweeping it under the rug, and then just things kind of build up and get worse if you don't really ever address them. So I guess it's kind of what that line's about. I like the line, the line in that song that I really like is that I think is weird is it says it's not like the extinguishers on fire, and it's like it's like not all hope is lost, so we can still save this.
Well, how about the title for the album, Surface Noise? That's a very vinyl-ish kind of vocabulary word there. Where did that come
from? We thought that this is kind of like maybe is going to make me put my foot in my mouth about about how we think about the artwork. This might be the only time we've ever done this. Is Josh, because he had that weird glitchy graphic and ended up going to be using the album cover, he was wanting to call the album Screen Trash, I think is what he was.
Well, I like that too. I like that too. Yeah.
Call it Screen Trash. And that sounds kind of cool, but I was like, it's too, to me, it was a little too like literal, but like slangy, but a little too literal too. And because we make music, it was like, what's another kind of, what's like the audio version of that,
Yeah.
And so it was like Surface Noise is kind of a good audio version of a distortion or something. So I think they go together, even though this is a visual image of like glitchy computer stuff. It's still kind of synonymous with like a type of distortion, and Surface Noise is a type of distortion. So that was sort of like the way we.
When we put this up, there's suddenly going to be 3 bands called Screen Trash now. They're going to steal that.
You can have it.
Actually,
that's a freebie.
A great name for a band that like no one took, that I just found. It was like Glenn Hughes's first band that he was in was called Finders Keepers. I thought that was such a great name. I can't believe.
Surely there's a band called Finders Keepers. That seems like there'd be like.
I mean, it's not a big band, but that's I thought that was a really cool name.
That's a pretty good name.
Yeah, pretty cool.
All right.
And then you could have Losers Weepers would be like your rival band or whatever.
Actually, Losers Weepers is a pretty good band name.
That's really good. Yes, so we're gonna get a lot of band names out of this.
Yeah, I thought Surface Noise was really good because in my head I immediately think vinyl, and I think you guys have such a classic sound with a modern twist, so I thought it was perfect.
I thought, like, are they apologizing for the production? Because I think the production sounds good.
No, it sounds great.
Good mix.
Yeah, we had good people work on it. We had our friend Kevin Butler, who he's recorded several of records that we've done, like singles and EPs and stuff. And he has a studio here, like way in South Austin, town outside of Austin called Dripping Springs, and it's like almost to Dripping Springs, right outside of town. And he has a studio at his house, and he used to work in a studio called Orb, and he has his own place called Test Tube Audio. And he's really talented, and he makes us sound a lot better than we actually are. And it was mastered by Jason Livermore at the Blasting Room, who's like, that's like the Descendants, recording studio in Fort Collins. Bill Stevenson owns it, I believe. And Jason Livermore is like Grammy Award winning. He like just won a Grammy recently. And so we had a Grammy Award winning masterer.
That's great.
Mastering person.
Mastering.
Yeah. And so the two together, the record sounds great.
It seems to me like you guys are really into guitars. I think that one video especially, there's a lot of guitars being played. And I like that. I always like power pop that has a lot of guitars in it, like the Posies and stuff, and Matthew Sweet, a lot of that stuff. So is that true to a certain extent, or?
Oh, it's very, very true. It's
cool.
Yeah, we love guitars. I'm a big collector nerd, and have a bunch of guitars, and you see a lot of them in that Do the Resurrection video. That was
right.
Were those all yours?
Yeah. And that's some of them.
And that's why I still have a day job, right?
Yeah, exactly. For other reasons as well.
So we had a lot of favorite tracks. And
hang on a minute. I wanted to ask about the replacement covers. So you guys did some covers. You did "I'll Be You" and "Left Off the Dial."
Left of the Dial. It was just me. It was
just you.
Yeah, it wasn't the full band. It was me and these guys in a band called English Teeth. They're a local band, which is a great band name, English Teeth. And they did this during South by Southwest, where they did this replacements kind of hoot, where they were the backup band, and they would have guest singers come out and do different replacement songs. Usually it was like 2 songs per person. And they did it for like a free show during South by Southwest at this bar called Sea Boys. And my friends and I went to it because we're all big Replacements fans, and we know some of the guys in English Teeth. Their drummer Kevin was a friend of mine, or is a friend of mine. And I was like, oh, we'll go see this. It was free, and it was rad. It was like Alejandro Escovedo did a couple of songs. Britt Daniel from Spoon did a couple of songs. It was like this kind of cast of Ian Moore did some songs. It was fun. And then like maybe like a month or 2 later, Kevin messaged me. I messaged him and it was like, hey, I was at the Replacements thing. I didn't talk to you, but I was there. You guys were great. It was awesome. And he was like, we're going to do it again at the Continental Club. You want to sing some songs? And I was like, yes, sign me up. So I got to do, I did I'll Be You and Left of the Dial.
Wait, it's funny that I love your Gentleman Rogue shirts that are like the nod to the Buzzcocks logo, like font rather. But in fact, we just did was it this show or the Decay show? We did the Buzzcocks review.
I think it was Decay show.
Yeah, we do like a little vinyl show off thing. So I thought that was pretty funny. Because what is your favorite Buzzcocks
album? What's my favorite one? Probably Love Bites. It's just pretty classic. I like, I guess, a different kind of tension? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, that's my favorite.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I like them all. And even that Singles Going Steady is just like, it's kind of like all the jams are on that one, It's great. But we're Buzzcocks fans, and I made this flyer for a show one time, like maybe a year or 2 ago, that I just intentionally found all these fonts online that were like punk, like punk font, it's like, and all these stupid, like all ages, that was like the name of one of the fonts, So I just found all these dumb punk fonts, and I made a flyer using like a few different ones, and just trying to make the flyer kind of sort of goofy looking. And for the band names, I would kind of stylize the band names that we're playing. And for ours, I did that kind of fake Buzzcocks, kind of parody. And I had like probably like 10 people be like, dude, y'all's logo looks cool like that. And I was like, yeah, it does look pretty cool. And then I was like, man, maybe we should make t-shirts or stickers or something with the like Buzzcocks homage. And we just literally just made those t-shirts. We just got them like last week. I
This
think they
friend of
turned
mine
out cool.
Yeah, this friend of mine was telling me that a lot of those classic punk rock fonts came because they just would walk into like, they would walk into Kmart and they would just get a set of stencils, generic stencils, and that's all they
Mhm.
could do. And they became so iconic, like Wire and,
Yeah,
GBH and these, but a lot of it was just done out of economy and it became these.
yeah,
Now
for
we look at
sure.
them, we say that's so cool, that's so punk rock, but it was just because they didn't have a graphic designer, they just
DIY. And a lot of them
DIY.
were friends for like the Buzzcocks one in particular. There's a whole web page you can find about like the origin of that logo. And it's the font is called Compacta. And it's like, it was made by like one of their friends who was like going to art school, and he kind of took that font and sort of manipulated it by hand, if I remember right. And you can go and find Compacta font, but if you type Buzzcocks, it doesn't look exactly like their logo
Oh,
because
okay,
he
yeah,
did it. His is all by hand, and it's not quite Compacta, but that's the origin of like what that logo is. So when I made ours, I was like, oh, cool, Compacta. I'll type Gentleman Robes. I'll stretch those letters out. Done. And it's like, nope. It took like a lot of like Photoshop finagling and stuff to try to make it look more accurate to how theirs. So I got pretty close. If you go side by side, you can kind of see little differences, but it looks pretty good. It turned out good.
Yeah.
I always like
That's proper nerd stuff right there.
It's
Definitely,
this whole thing is nerd. I'm a massive nerd if you haven't figured that out yet.
So lots of favorite tracks here. Of course, Do the Resurrection. It's so drying. It's got more hooks than Velcro, more hooks than Jesse's Girl. Jesus. Was that a working title? Because that's one of those things where that the words never actually appear in the song, or where did that come from?
The line it's said in the song briefly, so that I think it says, am I the only one doing the resurrection? I am the only one doing the resurrection. So yeah, that song was kind of about like on again, off again, like relationship where you're like it ends and but you kind of keep going back to this person who's clearly like not good for you. And so it's kind of put in, I guess, metaphor that kind of being brought back from the dead to just do it all over again.
What is the chorus? Is it I want to be infected by your affection or infection?
Affection. That's all involuntary solitary. I want to be infected with your affection.
Oh, I'm asking about the wrong song. I'm sorry. Yeah, involuntary solitary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's a real I think in your review you said it's very nerdy or dorky lyric, but it is.
Well, I thought like, if it was I want to be infected by your infection, that's brilliant dorky. That's like Ramones. You know what I mean? Like using the same word twice. That was what I was hearing.
Well, it's funny you picked up on something. Maybe it was subconscious, because the original title of that song was I want to be infected, and it was like I want to be sedated,
right?
And it was totally like going to be a nod to the Ramones. And we had some contention in the Gentleman Rogues camp about that title, because it was like all during COVID, and it was like that's gonna be weird, and and it's like, so there was a vote to like, you can't call the song that. It was like the lyrics, the chorus can still say it, but for some reason that can't be the title. So that song was called I changed it to Kamikaze Kissing, because there's a line in it that says kiss me like a kamikaze or something. And then I was like, no, that was the name of it for like a month or two. And then I was like, that title sucks. And so I thought of Involuntary Solitary, and I liked how it's kind of like Troubled Troubadour. It's like both of those songs have this weird kind of like rhythm way the way you say them. It's almost like the same word, like it's a 2-word title that almost kind of rhymes. Like each word kind of rhymes. It's sort of dorky, but I for some reason was like, I like that. That works.
That's right.
For Do the Resurrection, I love you, please stop trying to kill me.
That's a great line.
It's absolutely brilliant. And I think we've all been in a relationship where it feels that way. What is the worst toxic relationship you have ever witnessed?
Ever witnessed? Like, or experienced?
Well, some of us do more witnessing than experiencing.
Hmm. Witnessed, I mean, I have a, yeah, I mean, I have some friends that were married at one time, and there there was obviously some personality disorders happening in one camp of that partnership, and it didn't last. And
Yeah.
that was, I mean, without going, I could probably talk about it for like 3 hours, how wild it was to sort of experience. Because, yeah, I mean, people can be really crazy.
Yeah,
It's awkward
So,
when you have to explain that to a friend of yours. Like, you say, dude, she hid your inhaler from you. She made it so that you had to do a treasure hunt to stay alive. Come
yeah,
on.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot of that stuff in the news right now too. There's like that woman who poisoned her husband, and she like, and he like
yeah.
knew it. Like it's a thing. Like she's like going to trial, and right now I don't remember that, the name and stuff, but like it's weird when you hear those stories, because this guy, like, she tried to, allegedly had tried to do it to him before, and he had like had eaten the sandwich that she made him, and immediately got like broke out in hives, and he was like about to die, and he was texted his friends the next day that he's like, yeah, I think my wife tried to kill me, like she tried to poison me. And then you're like, and you stayed at the house, and like
But what would it take for you to leave? You
yeah,
know, like,
it's just crazy. Like, I mean, that's one of those weird toxic, or something's going on there, that you for some reason didn't run for your fucking life
yeah, yeah.
when she tried to poison you the first time, and then she ended up succeeding the second time, and it's crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, there was a thing that came across Facebook today, and it was basically a note that some wife had taped up, and it said, "In case you're wondering where these three golf clubs are, I'll be happy to reveal to you once you take out the trash, mow the lawn, and do the other three things that you said you'd do last week." And I was
Yeah,
like, "Wow, kidnapping golf clubs. Wow."
that's a new low.
Oh God.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
So I love the video for that too. How was it filming it under that overpass?
The Do the Resurrection video, yeah,
Yeah.
that we did that during COVID. That was the very first music video we ever made, and I think you can kind of tell, um at no discredit to our friend Daniel who made it, because he did a great job, but I felt like when I watched that video, I'm like, we all look like we're really uncomfortable. And we don't look like we're enjoying this very much, but
Yeah.
it was fun to make. We during COVID, we obviously we couldn't play shows, and you know couldn't tour, and we couldn't really do a lot of anything. We didn't even have band practice for like 5 or 6 months or something, and we had recorded that song and the B-side that's on the 7-inch with it, like maybe a month before COVID hit. It's like mid early February, and then that was like mid-March, all the shit hit the fan with all that stuff. And so we just spent $1,000 like recording these songs, and then we're like, well, what do we do? What are we going to do with these now that we may never get to play live again? Who knows what the future holds. And so I one Saturday night during quarantine, I just like sent out the songs to just a bunch of record labels, and I was just sending it out to anyone I could think of that might like it. And miraculously, like within 48 hours, I think we had like 3 people respond and be like, we love this, we'll put it out. And so we're like, whoa. So we ended up just going, okay, we're going to put out this 7-inch during a time where we can't play live, and how are we going to promote it if we can't play live? And so we're like, we're do some things we've never done before, like make a video and hire a PR person to like help us promote the single and the video. And we did, yeah. The first time we ever did that stuff, and I'm really glad we did, because it turned into like a really good experience. We ended up getting that song on Little Underground Garage, through this PR person in their camp. Allegedly, Little Steven like actually picks the songs himself, and
Yeah.
he selected, and it was on that station. They played it like probably 30 times a day for like a week. They kept it in rotation. And one thing that we did not expect from all of that, we just thought it was so cool that we were on Underground Garage, because every time my girlfriend and I go on vacation, we get a rent car, we always use the Sirius XM that comes with the car, and we just listen to Underground Garage the whole time. And so I'm like, well, we're on that station, and we were all excited. It's like the Wonders and that thing you do. We're like, oh my God. And and but what we didn't know, is that you get radio royalties from that stuff. And so we ended up getting like a good chunk of money from that. And that we used that money we made from that to pay for recording Surface Noise. So like our whole new record was paid for basically by Little Steven's Underground Garage.
That's
awesome.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
You hear so many, we hear about every band we talk to talks about you don't make any money from streaming, so it puts so much more pressure on live shows, blah blah blah.
And that's true, but you can make it from radio, which is interesting, isn't it?
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Seems so old school and like
Yeah.
radio royalties, weird. But they still exist. I mean, we still get money from that, which is not a lot, but like I think a couple of weeks ago I had like a direct deposit from Sound Exchange, is who this company who distributes that stuff, and it was like like $52, and it's all from that song getting played on the radio like 3 or 4 years ago at this point.
Yeah, and I kept seeing you. I was like, that chair's from IKEA. I know that chair. But also I kept thinking, oh my God, I hope they weren't harassed by homeless people. Because we actually did a setup in downtown Baltimore. There was this big music festival, and we decided kind of dumbly we were going to do interviews after they got off. But we couldn't be anywhere near the venue because it was an outside stage. So we just went over to like the Holocaust Museum. We're setting up cameras and tables and microphones, having people walk over outside the venue. And all of a sudden, this homeless guy just starts harassing us. I was like,
and he didn't want to be interviewed.
No. Yeah, we didn't have any of that with that overpass. It's kind of like it was a really cold day that day. That's maybe something you can't tell. Everyone's in jackets and stuff, but it was like really cold, and it was the overpass. Daniel had found it because there's shit pillars, and you can see them in the video. There's even more of them when you're under there. But yeah, it was kind of like real shock included. Like we didn't even see any cars drive by. It was like we just had it to ourselves for like the hour that we were down there.
Yeah.
The living room stuff is like in my house, where like I pop up behind the couch with this guitar solo and like all that, the coffee table falling, all that stuff is just my living room. And yeah.
Love it. I also love Francie. Where in the world did you get that big wall of speakers?
That is just tons of guitar amps that we just took everyone. We asked a ton of people, can we borrow your amp? We just need to pile it up on top of another amp. We're not even going to turn it on. We just need it to look cool. Yeah. And yeah, I have a couple of amps, and John has a couple amps, and then I have a bass amp, so I have an extra amp out in the garage. And yeah, and I think we just borrowed a few from Daniel, who made Do the Resurrection and Francie. He's TV's Daniel, and he's also in a band called Radioactivity, and he's a cool dude. He plays in a band called Mugger, cool guy, and he just had the idea of like, let's just take a bunch of amps and stick them up against a wall and just make this giant wall of speakers. And also, actually, I don't know if that was his idea or my idea, but because there's a brewery by my house that closed down called Oscar Blues, but they had a stage inside of their brewery, and on one side of the stage it had this massive wall of speakers, of like stereo speakers, and every time I'd go in there I'd be like, that would be cool to take like a promo band photo like in front of all those speakers. Yeah. And then I think we ended up doing that. There, you can see those pictures somewhere, but we ended up taking the band photos there in front of those speakers. Then I think that probably triggered the video too. So that was probably like, oh, let's make a video where we're in front of a bunch of amps. Yeah. So probably the photo idea spawned the idea for the video. It's all coming to me now.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it until just this minute. The origin.
I really love how your lyrics they take something, maybe a thought that you've always had, but you put a whole different spin on it. Like I can't brick you out of my mind. I love that. Where did you come up with, like, do you, is it like, do you write like it out like poetry, or does it just come to you like just really neat metaphors?
Mm, I don't know. That's hard to answer. I definitely think about the lyrics a lot. I'm a lyric guy. I'm meaning I care about the lyrics and not just my own, but like when I'm listening to music, I listen to the lyrics. I'm always really shocked by, and this isn't a dig on anyone who thinks like this, but I'm always shocked when I hear people, they're like, oh, I don't care what the song is, I don't care what they're saying, I don't care what it's about. I just like if it sounds like like the guitar riff, and I'm like, you don't listen to the words? And they're like, no, I don't care about that. And I'm like, what? And I'm a total lyric guy. Like I have just, I think bad lyrics can just ruin songs. And by I can listen to a song and be like, man, this song is killing. I love this. And then I hear the lyrics and they suck. And I'm like, fucking hate this song. And it's like, it just ruins it for me. And not everybody's like that. And that's cool. I kind of wish that I wasn't that way, because I might like more stuff than I do. But yeah, I pay attention to lyrics. And when I'm writing them, it scares me a lot and it makes me procrastinate, because I'm always afraid that I'm going to ruin the song by writing bad lyrics. It makes me really care about the lyrics even more, but then I start getting in my own head about it, and I start thinking I'm overthinking this, and it's going to end up sucking because I'm over it. But I guess to answer your question is, like, I really try with the lyrics, and I want them to be good, and I don't want them to be heavy-handed, and I don't want them to be stupid. I want them to be kind of clever and cool. So when people hear them, like you, so I appreciate the compliment, like that you go, these lyrics are great, and that's what I want to happen, is people to go, these are cool lyrics. Because when I hear songs like from Jawbreaker, and there's a lot of like bands that I love that have great lyrics, I'm like, God, those lyrics are so good. I wish I would have wrote those. So if people like mine, I'm like, yes. Victory.
We've spent hours discussing Sparks lyrics.
Oh, God.
Man.
Like dinner for 12 has become dinner for 10. I'm under the table with her. Where did that come from?
That guy.
The whole idea of it.
Man.
And they stayed brilliant. Like the new stuff is just as brilliant as the old stuff. It's just,
I know. And the amount of stuff they have. I mean, that band's like 27 albums or something. It's insane. I love Sparks. I love Sparks.
What does that one guy say in the show? He says, if you put 3 musicians in a room together, eventually the conversation will go to Sparks.
That's a really good documentary.
That's,
I mean, they're a fantastic band. I got into them through Morrissey, of all people. He's a big fan, and I'm a big Smiths fan and a big Morrissey fan. And I read an article with him, or an interview with him once, and he was talking about how much he loved Sparks. And I was like, when you have people that you like and they're really into something, you're like, oh, well, what are these people I like? What are they listening to? And you kind of go down those rabbit holes. So I checked out Sparks, and I listened to Kimono My House, that classic, 76 album theirs. And it was just, I already loved Queen, and I already loved David Bowie, and I already loved all that glam stuff. I was like, holy shit, this is 100% up my alley. And it's so weird, like you said, the lyrics are so weird, the voice is weird, and I like weird pop music like that. So I love that band.
I was in LA, and I met this friend of mine at Amoeba Music, which is this huge record store there.
Yeah. I was just there in March.
Okay, yeah. And I had Indiscreet in my hand.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's Henry Rollins' favorite Sparks record. It's like, you're just as sick as I am. Where the hell did you come up with that?
Yeah. It's a good one. It's a hard to pick a favorite with those. I mean, like we said, I think they just put out their 27th album or something, and I think I own 12 of them. But
I've only heard like half of them. There's so many. I mean,
there's a few I've never heard.
Yeah.
As much as I love that band, they have a few albums I've never heard a single song off of them. It's a lot of material.
It's tough to keep up.
Yeah, it is. But like what you were saying with the lyrics, it's like that guy's he's an amazing lyricist, and his stuff is so interesting and funny. And it's kind of Morrissey's the same way, and you can kind of get where he probably gets influence from Sparks, because a lot of his lyrics are like, people are always like, oh, he's all sad and mopey, but it's funny. Like if you listen to his lyrics, he's being funny on purpose. It's some of it's all mopey and sad, but so is Sparks from time to time.
Yep.
I love a track like Involuntary Solitary, which also is brilliant. Put that together. But it's so simple and hooky, but you've got those guitar harmonies on there, and I just love how you throw the layers and all together. And you can sing about a subject that's kind of like sucky, like obviously you're by yourself and you didn't want to be, but it's so upbeat. The video for that comes across like it could be a sitcom, entrance song.
Well, you know what that is? That's Kids in the Hall.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the video was like is 100% like we're trying to make the intro to the Kids in the Hall. We like recreated it, and a lot of the don't tell anybody, but a lot of the footage that's in our video is stripped out of the intros from their TV, from their show. So like we went and we found the first like 2 or 3 seasons, and we stripped pieces of that out. I didn't do it. Andrew made the video, did it. But the idea for the video was like, let's make a 3.5-minute Kids in the Hall intro, and so the font and the song title and the band name, all that stuff he hand did to kind of recreate the font that they have on theirs. The little bits where we sort of come up and our names come up on the screen, that's like a direct us copying something that happens in the intro.
Oh, that's cool.
Scott Thompson, he flips his hair, and so that's why I kind of do this thing with my hair, because I'm just we're trying to just do the moves that they do in the intro. You'll have to look those up, but we're just trying to recreate a Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
All right, so we play a game on the show.
Oh boy.
Don't be frightened. This isn't as bad as the other show. I have 100 questions in front of me, so I want you to pick 5 numbers. So you're just going to answer 5.
Oh, okay. Oh, you got a dog over here. I didn't even see this.
Oh, yeah. Jax is usually here.
Usually.
We always say it's bad luck if he's not here.
What's his name?
Jax. Yeah.
Jax. Got it. Okay, so 5 numbers, 1 through 100.
Yep.
Let's do number 7. Let's do number 27. Let's do number 33. Let's do 58. And let's do 75.
Right. I just redid these today because sometimes people.
We interviewed this one band one time, and we were doing this, and he goes, I just had my randomizer up, and he spent like 10 minutes trying to, I guess, hook up some sort of auto generating. It's like, dude, just pick 5 numbers. Come on.
I just did the first that came to my head.
suddenly got very mathematical with them.
Yeah.
Be glad it's just him here. When the cats get down here, it gets crazy.
Yeah. Things get knocked over.
Yeah.
2 cats. The door is closed to this room, but they don't actually come in this is like my back where I work sometimes, and this is where like my books and guitars and crap are, but like they never come in this room. I think they understand that it's not very inviting to a cat. It's like, I don't know why I'm talking about this.
How many cats do you have?
Just 2.
Okay.
We had 4. We're down to 3.
Down to 3. Yeah, cats are important to me. I love them.
Ours never come in my room either, where I do writing and music and work and stuff. They never come in either. So maybe it's the same. Maybe they pick up on, and he comes in all the time. He just goes to sleep.
Well, it's weird because when they come in, they do come in the room, and then I come in the room. It's like they know or they don't know. They're not allowed, but they act like they know they're not supposed to be in the room. They'll scramble out like, oh shit, I'm busted. But I don't care if they come in the room. But they think they're not allowed in here. I think that's why they don't. I don't know where they got that idea, but
when we lost our last cat, you feel so dumb. I mean, because I'm at work and I'm like, and everybody's like, what's wrong? It's like, no, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's hard. I've been there.
All right, number 7. What is the last thing you do before falling asleep at night?
Mm. You know what? I lay down. I mean, it's kind of not totally inaccurate. I fall asleep so fast. I have a problem though. I don't stay asleep. So I have a condition that I've deemed reverse insomnia. And I can like lay down and crash in 5 minutes. But I'll 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. If I lay down, I'm just gonna crash out. And then I'll wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm wide awake. And it's like it's time to start the day. And the alarm's not going off until like 7. And I'm like, and I do that a lot. I've been taking magnesium and melatonin and stuff a lot. I've been like doping up on that stuff and it's been helping. But yeah, I guess I just kind of watch TV. Maybe that's like kind of a boring answer, but I'll watch TV and then I'll like maybe watch some stupid YouTube videos and stuff, and then I'll kind of start dozing off, and I literally just go lay down in the bed. I'll fall asleep in like 4 minutes. Yeah. So I guess I just sort of I wind down with a little bit of like YouTube videos. Nuke's top 5 ghost videos. Okay. That's what I like to watch. Paranormal clips.
Okay.
Oh, I love that kind of stuff. You could just go down a whole rabbit hole.
It's fascinating when you see one that you're like, it's like UFO, where you're like that's real, but like, what the hell is that? It's really, and then sometimes it's clearly fake, but it's the fun is just watching it. I don't know.
Yeah, I was fascinated with that girl who disappeared at the Cecil Hotel, and she's doing the camera in the elevator catches her doing all this weird stuff, like she's talking to somebody, but
yeah. That's a weird story. There's like a whole documentary about that, I think, on Netflix or something.
Yeah, we've seen it. Yeah,
it's definitely got like you kind of know what happened, but you also still kind of don't. There's still questions there. Anyway.
All right, number 27. If you founded your own country, what would you name it?
Founded my own country. I don't. That's a hard question. I would call it. Let's come back to that one. I would call it Neptune.
Okay.
33. Did you ever eat something that was beyond the expiration date?
Oh, I'm sure I have. Yeah, but I can't think of what it would have been or when I would have done it. But one thing I've done, I am a meat eater, and something that I've done before, it's kind of often because I get absent-minded, but I'll put meat out like a ground elk or beef or something, and I'll put it out in the sink to thaw. I'll forget about it, and then it'll just sit there all night in the sink and be like room temperature for probably 12 hours. And I've just bought it and I'm like, damn, and I'll throw it in the fridge. And then I just sort of roll the dice and cook it and eat it and cross my fingers I don't get sick. And so far, so good.
Yeah. May or may not have done that myself.
But that's not it being expired though. That's more of just like maybe I made it I almost make it rotten, leaving it out too long. I don't know, similar.
We'll have these in-depth arguments where she'll say, well, why didn't you pack me the ham sandwich? And I'll be like, that's from Thursday. She'll go, no, that's from Friday. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's from Thursday. So we have this fear of expiration sort of thing.
All right, number 58. Are you afraid of the dentist?
I used to be, but I've overcome that fear because I went to the dentist a lot during COVID, of all things. In the last few years, I had a it's embarrassing to admit, but I got Invisalign. So I did Invisalign because I got like a bonus at work, and I had like my teeth were crooked, and I got a bonus at work, and I said, this bonus I got is the same as what Invisalign's going to cost. So I just said, I'll just get my teeth fixed. And so I did that. But then through that process, I had to get a what is it called, where your tooth is like a crown? So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I have a crown way up back in this one. I had to get like, fillings done on cavities, and I have a problem with not flossing like enough. And
We all do. I think we all do.
I mean, everyone does, but it's like I'll get really good at it for like a month, and I'll do it like twice a day, and then I just eventually just fall off of it. And then every time I'm at the dentist, they're like, you floss? I'm like, yeah, sometimes. And so yeah, I used to be afraid of the dentist, but I've went to them the last few years that I'm not really scared anymore. My dentist is a nice guy too, so he's not like intimidating, and we chat and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of a pleasant experience in some ways, except when they prop your mouth open. And I know they're doing good work in there, but like it becomes very uncomfortable when your mouth's just kind of stuck open like that for like 30 minutes.
I hate the sucky straw thing. I'm like, please just let me spit. I hate that thing. It just sticks to everywhere.
I can't. The one thing about the dentist is I forget how to breathe. Like when they have your mouth propped open like that, and you're like laid back in the chair, and like you need to be breathing out of your nose, but I'm still trying to like out of my nose and my mouth, and you're just not choking on your saliva, and it's just like it's really awkward. I have to really concentrate on just breathing when I'm in that position.
I was getting a root canal or something one time, and the dentist said the weirdest thing to me. He goes, "Look, we're gonna have a lot of sharp things going on up here, so don't like put your hands up here." And I was gonna say, I thought I'd help out. Here, you need me to?
Yeah, let me get that for you.
It was the weirdest thing. Let me get that. I'm fully qualified.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll hold the drill.
Well, they'll sometimes like it's funny too, though. Sometimes they'll talk to you, and it's not even just like tell you something. Talk. They'll like almost like ask you a question. You're like, I can't really respond. Like, I don't know why you're trying to. You just kind of go, and say something.
Oh, no, I think they get off on that. I really do.
Yeah, maybe so.
All right, 75. Would you rather vacuum the house or mow the lawn?
Ooh, you're gonna think this is weird. I like doing both of those things.
Okay.
I actually enjoy it, both of them. Mowing the yard in Texas, it gets really, really hot. Like today was like 105 outside today. So mowing the lawn sucks in this weather, but but it's such a feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
I love like finishing mowing the yard, and you're like, yeah, did it. And like everything's short now, everything looks good. Cleaning the house is like what I like. Vacuuming, I like doing that stuff because it's like you can put on a record and blast music, and you just like we cleaned the bathroom this weekend and vacuumed the house this weekend, and it was like it's sort of like therapeutic to me. I also like doing laundry.
Yeah,
these like chores that I guess my mom like raised me right to like do chores and like understand why you're doing it, and like I don't know, I've never really had a big problem with doing chores, and there's something kind of like therapeutic about it.
I always liked yard work a little better because you do yard work outside, it stays that way longer. I can vacuum, and 2 minutes later, there's a thing of hair blowing across the floor.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Where does this stuff come from? Like I cleaned the bathroom, and then there were like these fuzz balls on the floor, and I'm like, I like literally just mopped in here. Like where's this stuff coming from? But I'm sure it's the cats. Blame it on the cats.
Yeah, my brother he's a film phobe as bad as I am with music.
Yeah.
So, but to me, the reason why I stuck with music is because I can do shit while music is playing, and periodically I will tease him, and I'll be like, "Well, you can't get off your couch because you're watching whatever the Blu-ray of Rear Window you just got or whatever he's talking about." You're kind of rooted when you're watching, but when you're listening.
That's
you
can
true. Get things done,
Yeah, I mean, you can, I guess, listen to a movie. It is a visual art, And
Right.
yeah,
It's,
so
you
yeah,
kind of have to see it. It limits what you can get done, I would think. Yeah.
yeah. And also, I mean, playing music too is weird though, because when you were vacuuming, then there's like this sound competition happening where it's like you got to really turn up the music if you want to hear
Yeah.
it over the
Yeah.
vacuum. But
Yeah.
then your neighbors think you're a crazy person.
Always. We sit out by our fire pit and like we kind of trade different music finds back and forth really loud. And we have these Hispanic people who live next to us. I know they hate us because they're all, everything over there is like mariachi.
They're always out there. They have a party for everything. They're like, you know, little Johnny's first communion, Bob got a raise, you know, whatever. They're always partying.
You're
So
living it up. I have a neighbor two houses down from me who's throws some loud parties and like a sweet 16 for his daughter, and it's like they get like the bouncy house in the backyard. Like, and they're up till 3 a.m. blasting music, and it's like it kind of annoyed me at first, but then I was like, yeah, you know what, you're living, you do you.
Yeah, we had Hispanic neighbors in my old house, and they loved karaoke. And I was over there one night for one of their parties, and I realized they don't even need to know the song. The guy got
Yeah.
up there and he was supposed to be doing some song from Greece. You could tell he had never heard it. He was butchering it, and they were having a blast. And then an Elvis impersonator showed up. I was like,
Oh my
wow,
God,
this is
that's
a
funny.
party, you know?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I think that's, I mean, I hate to like keep think I feel like I've mentioned COVID like 3 times. I really don't that much, but
Right,
like
right.
I do feel like there was that period of time was like it really was like this reevaluation of things that were kind of important to you, and kind of like what, yeah, I don't know, I guess like what mattered, what you wanted to accomplish, what you didn't want to deal with anymore. Like everything became very centered around like your happiness, and like, and so I guess when like people are having a loud party down this, 2 doors down from me, if it's not keeping me awake at night, then I don't care, like
Yeah.
you just like enjoy your life. I think that's like we all like weren't enjoying our lives for a good like 2 to 3 years there, and it's any chance you get to like just live and get to have a fun time. You're only here once, so just do it as much as you can, as long as it's not detrimental to somebody else's health or whatever.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you guys have a huge festival coming in October, the Fest. What are you looking most forward to checking out there?
Oh man, there's so many good bands playing that thing. We're yeah, we're sort of working out the details of that, because we were gonna originally go out there and just play our show and then just hang out for the weekend and just see a bunch of bands. But like, we're gonna rent a van, and because our van kind of crapped the bed a few years ago. Just from, it's kind of weird how like cars and things fall apart from like lack of use. You would
Oh,
think
yeah.
that the car would like be preserved because you're not really doing anything with it.
Yeah.
But our van that we toured in and stuff, it just fell apart during COVID, and where it's like where we didn't use it, and it was like somehow the power windows motors burned out. And you're like, how does a motor burn out from not getting used? Does that? I mean, there's smarter people than me that know about that stuff, but it made no sense to me. And the van is dead, and so now fortunately through my work, I get really, really good discount on rental cars.
Okay.
So we're going to rent a van. And so we were like, well, maybe since we're going to rent the van, we should actually use it more than just driving out to Gainesville and back. So we're probably going to do like a little short tour where we play maybe 4 shows on the way up there and back. But Super Chunk is playing. That's one of like my favorite bands of all time. Ted Leo and the Pharmacists, I'm a huge fan of. He's playing. So if we stick around, those are probably 2 I want to see for sure. Jay Robbins from Jawbox is playing.
He's got a new record that's really good.
Yeah,
Really
it just came out recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that's playing. If we stick around, I think we're gonna only really go and hang out the day that we're playing, which is on Friday, the 25th of October. And then we're gonna maybe go venture off and play some other cities on the way home. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that just to get to go out there, we've never played in Florida before at all, so that's gonna be fun just to like get out to a part of the country even when Josh and I were in the fall collection and toured, we never went. We went Midwest a lot, but we never went over to Florida. So I haven't played a show in Florida since I was like 19 in a band. I was in a band called Jill. It was like a kind of a pop punk band, and I think we played in Pensacola in like when I was like 19. It's like the only time I've ever played in Florida. First time I've ever been in an ocean was Pensacola Beach.
Oh,
So
nice.
I was like, whoa, an ocean. We should get in the water.
Well, you'd love Baltimore. We have mountains, we have ocean, we have bay. You know, we got a little bit of
That's
everything.
you got
Yeah.
a little everything. That's perfect.
Are you guys getting rain there? I mean, your lawn mowing answer, I was just curious. Is your lawn actually green? Because ours are all like
Crunchy.
crunchy, horrible. No
Yeah,
rain.
ours is normally really crunchy this time of year, but we've actually strangely been getting a lot of rain lately, which
okay.
is weird. I think that's a global warming or something.
No, something.
It's
We've
very
been getting all of
abnormal
ours
that
then.
Yeah, we
yeah,
haven't
it's
had any.
it's been really humid in Austin for the last like couple of months, and it's like raining. We had a big hailstorm a couple of weeks ago, and like everyone's roofs got damaged. We just got a
Oh,
roof
man.
replaced in our house because it got all destroyed by hail.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's been the yard is it's blooming. It's doing good so far, but usually it's like crunchy and you can't walk on it barefoot because it hurts. And
Right. That's what we
Yeah.
have this year. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's probably in our future soon. Probably by August we'll have it like that probably.
Okay.
I see big things in store for you guys. Hopefully we can lure you to Baltimore one of these days, and we'll definitely be there.
Awesome. Yeah,
We'll buy you
I
your
hope good
beverage of
things.
choice.
I hope good things come to us. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate y'all having me on, inviting me on, and doing the review. That was cool to send that, and we were like, oh, cool. Someone likes our record.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.